Faith in God Almighty in action. The GMRC teacher may choose to integrate and enhance the value of faith in God in their subject areas or lessons. So the GMRC teacher ay pinipiling pagsamahin at pagyamanin ang kahalagahan ng pananampalataya sa pamamagitan ng kanyang subject or lessons. The teachers are encouraged to take a pattern of taking long prayerful walks, a favorite habit some people develop over time. Teachers encouraging children or students to be prayerful, and may mga taong kinaugalian na nilang magdasal. And once the teachers consider the significance of prayer in their life, they are fully aware of the things they can accomplish when they live a life of faith. So when the teachers give a significance of prayer sa kanilang buhay, magiging matagumpay ang buhay na puno ng pananampalataya. And the teacher's faith is a gift that strengthens them in times of crisis and helps them arrive at conscious decisions. Ang gurong nananampalataya ay isang regalo na napapatatagin ka sa oras ng krisis at makakatulong sa iyo na maging aware ka sa lahat ng decisions mo. They also understand that their faith in God can bring them to appreciate themselves, their family, friends, and colleagues, their job, and their learners better. At ang guro ay naiintindihan ang kanyang pananampalataya sa Diyos na ma-appreciate ang kanilang sarili pati na ang kanilang pamilya, kaibigan, at kanilang katrabaho at kanilang mga mag-aaral. The teacher must not worry or fear because worry is a sign of distrust. They must therefore believe in God Almighty, and for sure they will not be alone in their journey within and beyond because God is within them always until the end of time. Ang isang guro ay di nag-aalala or natatakot dahil ito ang sign of distrust, pagkos naniniwala sila sa Diyos na hindi sila pababayaan at hindi sila nag-iisa sa kanilang lakbayin. Faith and the spiritual dimensions of teaching. According to Paul Michalek, 2002, puts it faith in as an essential component of one's teaching because it encourages the teachers to more fully express the truth within one's soul, allows for the truth of text to emerge, and it calls forth the truth that one's students bring into the classroom. A teacher may rely heavily on the power of faith to guide him or her in the task of knowing each student as a unique learner, as collaborator in designing classroom experiences to benefit all students. GMRC teachers are encouraged to utilize the faith-driven pedagogy, which is a journey of discovery into the soul of one's teaching. The teachers never fully knows what will transpire between the text and the students and the professor. According to Michalek 2002, he believes that processed and repackaged for easy digestion. And also, Michalek 2002 asserted that when the teacher remains humble in the face of the truth that the students and the next reveal, the teachers may remain open to change. Then, through the power of pedagogical faith, the teachers become less concerned with overly filling the classroom space with the sound of their voice.
Good day! Our topic for today is about the lesson 2, or the deepening one's spirituality. In this topic, we are going to discuss the things about spiritual intelligence and spirituality. What is spiritual intelligence? According to the research that I saw in the internet, spiritual intelligence is a higher dimension of intelligence that activates the qualities and capabilities of the authentic self or the soul in the form of wisdom, compassion, integrity, joy, love, creativity, and peace. Also, spiritual intelligence results in a sense of deeper meaning and purpose, combined with improvements in a wide range of important life skills and work skills. Now, let's find out how does some philosophers define spiritual intelligence. According to Abdulazadi 2002, spiritual intelligence is related to the relationship between man and the universe, the world of creation, and existence in the world. Spiritual intelligence is the concept of awareness of spirituality as the context for existence or the power of creative life from evolution. Spiritual intelligence is the complete inner consciousness. Our consciousness refers to our conscious experience, our individual awareness of our internal thoughts, feelings, memories, and sensations. Deep awareness of the world, spirituality, and the hereafter. Spiritual intelligence is the attitude of self-awareness as well as our relationship with God, with each other, and with all creatures. Spiritual intelligence depends on the ability to see things more than the individual aspect and the recognition of the relationship between perception, faith, and behavior. We humans tend to rely on spiritual intelligence when we search the meaning of the questions like, what am I? According to Abdulazadi, Bakarpur, Buzmerani, and Lofty 2009, spiritual intelligence helps humans find the hidden source of the love and joy that goes to stress and anxiety every day. Also, spiritual intelligence means finding a meaning for life and avoiding unnecessary events, which means spending time for transcendental goals regardless of the view of others. According to Vaughan 2002, spiritual intelligence calls for multiple ways of knowing and for the integration of the inner life of mind and spirit with the outer life of work in the world. It can be cultivated through questioning, inquiry, and practice. Spiritual experiences may also contribute to its development, depending on the context and means of integration. Spiritual intelligence is necessary for discernment or the ability to judge well in making spiritual choices that contribute to psychological well-being and overall healthy human development. We are done in discussing about spiritual intelligence. Now, let's move on to our next topic, which is spirituality. So when we hear the word spirituality, the very first thing comes into our mind are the things connected to spiritual personality or human spirit and about God. According to the research, spirituality involves the recognition of a feeling or sense or beliefs that there is something greater than ourselves, something more to being human, that sensory experience, and that the greater whole of which we are part is cosmic or divine in nature. According to Liebert and Dreiter Naudate, it means that there is no specific year or date found where this research was made. They defined spirituality as the ongoing, transformational experience of intentional, conscious engagement with the presence of God. This engagement with divine presence can be seen to involve three dynamics. First, nurturing or preparing for interaction with the presence of God. Next, the affective human experience of interaction with the presence of God. And lastly, intentionally responding to that presence. They also said that another way of looking at a person's spirituality is his or her life pattern of engaging the presence of the holy, becoming intimate with the presence of God. The teacher of spirituality assumes that this life pattern can be identified, traced, charted, characterized, and described to another in a way that genuinely captures something of its essence. As GMRC teachers, we are encouraged to develop, strengthen, and nurture our spiritual life, and in the process, deepen our own spirituality. Let us take a look at the nature of our spiritual life shared to us by Henry Nouwen, a spiritual icon and theologian, as offered to us by Will Hernandez, PhD OSB 2015, in his book entitled Mere Spirituality, The Spiritual Life According to Henry Nouwen, to be discussed by another discussant, Miss Leonie Small. That's all. Thank you.
What is spiritual life? Spiritual life, quite simply, is the life lived in with God. Just as physical life begins when our physical heart starts beating. Our spiritual begins when our spiritual heart starts beating. More specifically, spiritual life begins when are born again. How to be more spiritual? Just be yourself, know what you need, explore spiritual practices, quiet your mind, develop your institution, surround yourself with nature, and pay attention to signs. Get introspective. 7 ways to live a spiritual life. Practice meditation, because meditation improves your physical, mental, and emotional well being. Get to know your soul. Our souls are our true selves, and knowing it allows us to know our true purpose. Declutter and purge. Physical clutter affects our mind and spirit. Letting go of old creates space for better things. Be grateful. When we cultivate the habit of being grateful, we start to notice all the little blessings around us. Eat well, food, energy, life. Reconnect with nature. Spending time outdoors allow us to adapt to the intuitive rhythm of nature. Practice self-care. Self-care ultimately means loving yourself, and when you love something, you take care of it.
Prayer is represent the true essence of being one with God. Communion is all about being in union with God in prayer. Prayer is considered by Nguyen to the breath of human existence and concisely occupies the very center of our spiritual life. Summon us to ever deepening communion with the one who loves us more than anyone else, and can essence communion prayer is all about an intimate relationship with the God of love. Then the prayer of communion relates to our inner experience of being a human in the Word God. As Newman further clarifies, prayer is seeking our home where the Lord has built a home in the intimacy of our own heart. Solitude. Henry Newman espouses the communion with God is savored best through by no means exclusively within the context of solitude or experiential union. Newman asserted the measure of solitude is the measure of our capacity for communion. The more we allow rooms for solitude is in our hectic life, the more our sense of connectedness with God deepens. Without solitude, it is virtually impossible to live a spiritual life. This is because the practice of solitude centers us in our own heart and, and enable us to be securely rooted in personal intimacy with the source of life. As we endeavor to withdraw from our daily occupation, we are deliberately create space for God as well as for ourselves, such as grounding time in solitude are what undergrind and sustain our spiritual life with God. Solitude and silence. Solitude and silence are the context within which prayer is practiced. Solitude invites silence. True silence has to be the notion of rest of body and mind, in which we become available for Him whose heart is greater than ours. Silence is the way to make solitude our reality. Real. in that it completes in intensity the whole experience solitude, practice in action, an indispensable discipline in the spiritual life. Without silence, the spirit will die in us and the creative energy of our life will float away and leave us alone, cold and tired. Without silence, we will lose our center and become the victim of the many who constantly demand out attention. Silence and God's presence belong to the grow of every prayer. The silence, the silent time make us quiet and deepen our awareness of ourselves in God. The gift and the silence brings calm comes with a promise of new birth, even as we are unheard back to the one leading us. Silence and prayer. Prayer is the first of all entering into communion with God and God people. Through living in this kind of unceasing communion, we are enabled to see and proclaim that the rightful order of things, the divine order, and live in the very heart of God, heart of justice, peace, and righteousness. Prayer is the way to both the heart of God and the heart of the world, precisely because they have been joined through the suffering of Jesus Christ. Those to pray and allow our own heart to become the place where the tears of God and the tears of God's children can merge and become tears of hope. Through solitude, silence, and prayer, intimacy became the heart of our time. Apart solitude is the place of intimate encounter, the place where we communion with God.
So, good morning everyone. My name is Alfred A. Lobinya from BED 2E. So now, I will be discuss about lesson 2, Noen's definition of spiritual life. So, in according to Henry Nouwen's, spiritual life is all about heart because heart is the operational focus of the spiritual life. So, basically po, para kay Nowen is living with Jesus at the certain is ang tunay na kahulugan ng spirituality. So now, let's move forward to inward presence. The inward practice of presence through solitude facilitates our experience of double seeing. So, by seeing God and self and double knowing God and self, which then leads us to an ever-deepening and well-integrated sense of wholeness and wholeness in our life. And now, let's talk about outward presence. Outward presence is a sense of means being attentive way to and for others. So, this type of presence requires what we learn and how to be hospitable soul hosts to other people, strangers and non-strangers alike. And now, the last one presence that I will be discussed is Godward presence. Godward presence is a practice through the avenue of prayer, specifically communing prayer, perhaps the highest form of prayer, which focuses intimately on our union with God. So, it is the final kind of attentive presence is directed to the divine presence. So, to commune with God and prayer, therefore, is to be intimately present to the source. That's all, and thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Mary Claire Mular, and I will be discussing the spirituality of the teacher and the teaching spirituality. So, when we say the spirituality of the teacher, it is when a teacher understands the anxiety and problems of him or her. He tries to overcome it, which means spirituality. It includes self-kindness. In fact, kindness in its maximum perhaps is spirituality. So, the teacher daw should be in a way that brings peace to the students. Siyempre, as an educator or as a teacher, we must say na parang tayo yung magbibigay ng peace or katahimikan sa students. So, parang tutulungan natin silang parang hanapin yung yung sarili nila na para maging um, when it comes to spirituality. So as a teacher, kailangan natin maging role model. So yon. So here are the some characteristics of a teachers when it comes to spirituality. First, the teacher who presented a genuine warmth and caring, he or she talks as an indication of a healthy spiritual life. So, ang teacher na parang nagpapakita ng genuine or um, totoong care or warm indication of healthy spiritual life. Siya daw yung teacher na parang ah, yung totoo yung pinapakita sa mga students. Yung parang tinuturing niyang mga anak yung students niya. Next, integrity must ground the life of the teacher of spirituality not only for the sake of one teaching but also for the sakes of those taught. So, parang as a teacher daw, kailangan mong itrato yung students as whole, not one. Yung parang yung mga students mo dapat pantay-pantay yung trato mo, hindi yung may bias, yung ganun, parang iba yung turing mo sa isa tapos sa isa. Next, the person of the teacher of spirituality, his or her grace, integrity, functions as an icon, window to the holy, thought that iconic presence other may be lead into their own experience of the transforming mystery we call God. So parang for example, ako yung teacher. Tapos, parang yung mga na-experience ko when it comes to spirituality, kailangan kong i-share sa students ko. Parang, yung experiences of transforming mystery we call God. So, parang, for example nito, nagpipray ako. Dati hindi. Pero, na-realize ko na parang, sa buhay natin napakahalaga ng prayers. So kailangan natin manalig sa Diyos para magabayan tayo sa mga desisyon na gagawin natin sa buhay. So next is teaching spirituality. So we have here teaching spirituality. So spirituality is the broad concept of a belief in something beyond the self. When we say spirituality, parang ito yung paniniwala natin or belief sa ating sarili. Pero pwede din itong magbago sa pamamagitan ng mga taong nakapaligid sa atin. For example, teachers, 'di ba? Isang teacher sa may pinakamalaking contribution sa ating sarili. Bukod sa ating mga magulang kasi sila yung unang guro natin. Ang pangalawang magulang natin, hindi lang natin sila guro, kundi pangalawang magulang ay ang ating mga teachers. So, ang teachers natin yung mga nagtuturo ng mga pwedeng ma-realize natin sa buhay, yung mga good things na pwede nating ma-realize. So, we have here 5 different types of spiritual practices. Yung mga pwede nating gawin kapag parang nagmumuni-muni or parang nag-iisip tayo ng mga bagay-bagay. So, first is, ito yung pinaka-importante, which is the prayer. Next, connecting with nature. Third, yoga. Attending a spiritual or religious service or meditation. So, here are the other meaning of teaching spirituality. First, it is a process of conveying to another lifestyle a character or shaping of a soul. It is more a process of nurturing information than delivering information. Next, the teacher is more like a mentor on the spiritual way. A spiritual guide who must have been steeped in the spirituality taught, so that the student may also be formed in that way as carefully as possible. To try to teach a spirituality not engaged by the teacher is dishonor those who truly engage it and to cheapen the spirituality itself. So, yun nga yung sinasabi ko kanina, na ang teacher is a mentor on spiritual way. So, parang, they try to teach a spirituality not to engage by the teacher is dishonored those who truly engage it and to cheapen the spirituality itself. So, parang ikaw yung mag-i-enhance. Sa tulong ng teacher, parang kailangan mo rin i-enhance yung sarili mo when it comes to spirituality. So, that's all po. Thank you.
The role of the spirituality in the classroom. What is the role of spirituality? Spirituality is a way of gaining perspective o isang paraan ng pagkakaroon ng pananaw. It can relieve, it depends on material things, and help you to understand what life or greater purpose in our life. Spirituality can also be used as a way of copying and change of our certainty. Kumbaga, meron tayong iba't ibang purpose o halaga sa ating buhay, ngunit iba't ibang paraan. Katulad na lamang ng binuhay tayo ni God because they have a reason kung bakit nandito tayo sa lupa. At from the word spirituality, andito na yung feelings, sense, and of course, yung beliefs o paniniwala ng isang tao. What is the role of spirituality in the classroom? One characteristic of teaching is the need to make meaning out of the life experience of the classroom by developing a set of beliefs or concepts that organize and order the daily interaction with students. Kasi gumagawa ng paraan ng mga guro para ma-interact yung student sa loob ng classroom para ito'y matuto at mai-adapt nila sa kanilang sarili. Because teacher, they encourage spiritual values to be a part of education in school. Because we believe a child will learn better only if he or she is explained the purpose of spirituality in life. Kasi if walang natutunan yung estudyante, ay magdudulot ito ng negative impact sa kanilang sarili.
Motivational quotes for you. When you control your emotions, you create your inner peace. What is inner peace?
Inner peace or peace of mind refers to a state of being mentally and spiritually at peace, with enough knowledge and understanding to keep oneself strong in the face of discord or stress. Being at peace is considered by many to be healthy and the opposite of being stressed or anxious. So here is a simple guide in achieving inner peace. In a way of mindful moods, how do you feel right now? No matter what your emotional state, you can practice mindfulness. High energy, angry, restless, and excited. Release that fiery energy through some physical exercise or calm it down with slow breathing techniques. Grounded, calm, focused, and deliberate. Build on your inner peace with creative visualization or compassionate meditation. Low energy, tired, lethargic, or slow. Indulge in short of yoga flow session to get your blood pumping and energy flowing again. Here are some things where you can find your inner peace. Walking in the forest with calmness and think positive, reading love stories, doing yoga and sports, cooking and baking, and watching sunsets and rain.